Hello everyone and welcome to the EPIHA Flyers Selection Show. We appreciate you joining us here and we'd like to thank the Brick House for hosting us. I'm your host Joe Sindoni and immediately we're going to kick things off. Introduce yourself, my man.
Hi, I'm Pete Rothman. I'm the VP of Girls for the Atlantic District of USA Hockey. It's been an exciting week with girls ice hockey and women's ice hockey throughout the country. When the U.S. won the gold medal in the sixth round of the shootout by Jocelyn Davidson, where she beat the Canadian goaltender. This opens up opportunities for girls in our district, in the high school girls with the inter-county. With the district, we're going to be doing a lot of different promotion to capitalize on the win with USA Hockey. We're also going to be having different clinics with the district, and also I want to invite players that have been playing 5 to 10 years ago that have come back to the district. Opportunities for you, the past girls players after college. We have coaching opportunities with the high schools and with youth ice hockey.
All right, so we're going to kick things off. Before we get to the women's bracket, we're going to kick it over to Frankie Stokes with a member of the Flyers Association. Take it away, Frankie.
Yes, hi Rob, thank you. Now, would you like to just tell everyone what the Flyers have to do with the program and their association with it?
Yeah, sure. It all started small back in 1979 when the Flyers decided to get involved with high school hockey. The first Flyers Cup had humble beginnings. There were only 4 teams in 1980 that first year at the University of Penn. And to see the growth over the last 39 years has been tremendous. We've got 52 teams playing in 5 divisions this year, so it's an awesome thing to be a part of.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
All right, so I'm back here with Pete Rothman, and he's the Vice President of the Girls High School Hockey in the Atlantic District. We already talked about the women's winning the gold medal in the Olympics, so it's certainly been an entertaining year and an exciting year for women's hockey. But we're going to kick things off and get to these selections right away. Before we get to the girls' selections, my apology, we're going to throw it back to Frankie, and she has Kenny Haas.
Hi, Kenny. Thank you for joining us today.
Sure.
So just explain to everyone how the selection process works.
The selection process is a process of evaluating the top quality teams at the AAA level. We have 4 prep school teams, and then out of the PCL division, we also select 4 teams to form our AAA division of 8 teams. And then the varsity AA has 16 teams, as well as the varsity A has 16 teams as well. And then the girls division this year has 4 teams.
Now, how much of an opportunity is this for the students who can participate?
As Rob just mentioned, we've been doing this since the 79-80 season, and I travel all over the country with USA Hockey, and I constantly fielded questions on how is it so successful. It's become one of the premier high school championships in the country, and leagues out in Anaheim, California, and Chicago are always asking how we do it. And it really gets back to our relationship with the Flyers. They have been so supportive. Rob Baer has just done so much to help us build this into one of the premier events in the whole country.
Hey, Kenny, thank you very much.
Thank you, Kenny, and thank you, Rob, as well, for all of your hard work, and we especially thank the Flyers. So we're going to get to the selections for the 39th Annual Flyers Cup, and we're going to start off, like we mentioned, in the women's bracket, and Game 1, the 2 and 3 seed on March 13th, will feature Westchester East taking on Radnor at the ice line. Pete, what do you have for us in store with East and Radnor going head-to-head?
Westchester East, the Vikings, they have a pretty balanced team. Number 18, Ann Cleary, a defenseman, leads the team with 29 points during the season, while on forwards, Jen Porter with 26 points leads the team. This team is balanced in scoring, as I said, between offense and defense. They're a tough group. Ann Cleary has been playing for a number of years. She comes from a successful family in ice hockey. Her brother played ice hockey, and her father was very famous and took a few teams to girls' national championships. Radnor, the number 3 seed. First, they're very hungry for a win. They've lost their past 3 games. However, those past 3 games were against 3 difficult teams. 3 teams that were not pure teams where they have players maybe from outside the school district. So it is always very difficult with them. However, the Radnor is led by Lindsay Coffey, a forward who has past years also led the team in points. And then it's followed by Lucia Vancula, Lauren Radnor, and then the goalie, Telsa Landry, has an 87.8% save percentage. I see this team as a very significant threat against the number 1 seed, Unionville, if they make it past this round. Also, the number 1 seed will be Unionville.
You beat me to it, Pete. So there you go. The winner of Westchester East and Radnor will take on Unionville, and again, that game will be at Iceline March 15th with puck drop coming at 6:30. So obviously Unionville, the number 1 seed, a strong team, as they'll await Westchester East and Radnor. What does Unionville bring to the table?
Well, first, Unionville brings a 15-0 season in the inter-county, and also they've won the past 3 years of Flyers Cup. They got good coaching. As a matter of fact, in the past I've coached against them, and I tell every single player in the past, you have to watch out for the back door. But Unionville is led by number 34, Kaylin Speck, who leads the teams with 35 points as a forward. And she's also 3rd in the league in points and 3rd in assists. Defensive player, I should say, Madison Miles leads defense with 15 points, and Maddie Robinson has a 95.9% save percentage. Also, Madison Deschette, who is tied in the league with goals in first place this season. And Madison was the leading scorer in last year's Flyers Cup. Joe?
So Unionville certainly will be waiting in the wings, but as you mentioned, a strong team could possibly repeat again and continue their recent success over the last few years.
That's correct. Many times we look at a team that's been winning something a few years, as we saw with the Eagles. A lot of people throughout the country wanted the Patriots to lose for a different team to win for a change. So maybe we'll see a new Flyers Cup champion this season. Thank you, Joe.
Pete, thank you so much for joining us.
You're welcome.
Pete Rothman, the Vice President of the Girls Hockey District in the Atlantic Region. Pete, thank you again.
Thank you.
So joining me next for the AAA preview will be Rick Wolfel as he makes his way in next to me here. We were talking a little bit and getting our high school hockey down. Rick, thank you again so much for joining us. And what do you want to talk about here just to preview the AAA division overall?
I think, Joe, we're going to have a wide open tournament. It's going to be as competitive as anything we've seen in quite some time. It is a bracket of 7, as is the case with the boys this year. The field has been narrowed somewhat. Last year there were 10 AAA teams in the field. This year they've cut it to 7, and it's really going to be a wide open event. In the past, Holy Ghost Prep and LaSalle more or less separated themselves from the rest of the field. This year, I don't think that's the case. Holy Ghost will be trying to win their 2nd straight Flyers Cup, their 3rd in 4 years. Between them, Holy Ghost and LaSalle have won 7 straight Flyers Cups and 10 of the last 11. Cardinal O'Hara broke that streak in 2010. But this year it's going to be a very wide open event, and it'll be interesting to see how things shape up. We'll take a look at the pairings and just see how things work.
So some strong competition coming in this bracket, as you mentioned. First, we're going to reveal the 5 versus 4 seed, and that game will be on March 8th at Hatfield. And the 4 seed will be LaSalle taking on Cardinal O'Hara.
This is kind of an interesting crossover. LaSalle playing in the prep red division, which consists of private schools that are not affiliated with the Philadelphia Catholic League. They'll come in with a record of 11-11-2, but they play a very tough out-of-league schedule. They have one of the best goaltenders in the area in Will Athel, who will be a key to their success. LaSalle does not have a scoring punch this year. They've had in years past, but they have a superb goaltender that'll win you a lot of hockey games, as you know all too well. Cardinal O'Hara comes in with a 14-3 overall record. That's games within the Inter-County League structure. They play in the Catholic League blue division, if you will. They've got John Paul Ahern, who has 28 goals and 31 assists, 59 points. They've got another 50-point scorer in Liam McCanney, 29 goals, 22 assists in 51 games. And in the 17 games that they played within the Inter-County League, they've allowed just 32 goals. So if you can play defense and get the goaltending at that level, that's a formidable opponent right there.
And almost defense and goaltending is always going to carry once it comes to big games, especially here in the Flyers Cup. So again, that game, 4 and 5 seeds, LaSalle taking on O'Hara at 7:10 at Hatfield, and that game will be on March 8th. So we'll shift to the 6-3 matchup, and the 6-3 matchup will be number 3 Malvern taking on Archbishop Ryan, and that game will also be at the ice line on March 8th. Malvern and Archbishop Ryan, Rick.
Malvern Prep was the number 1 team in the red division for a good part of the season. They ended up losing 2 games to Holy Ghost late in the year. But they've got a lot of scoring balance. They're 9-6 with 1 tie through their Inter-County League schedule. Charlie Andrus, 11 goals, 17 assists for 28 points. Nick Martino, 9 goals, 13 assists for 22. Joseph Delia, 7-15 for 22. And they beat LaSalle twice. That is a significant accomplishment. Archbishop Ryan, the number 6 seed, they've got some quality goaltending. They also have Tyler Grotowski, their leading scorer, 12 goals, 18 assists for 30 points. They've got Catholic League playoffs coming up, and they're trying to win their 3rd straight Catholic League championship. They have beaten Father Judge twice, who is playing in the AAA division of this tournament, and have also played Cardinal O'Hara. Although they lost that game, they gave a good effort. Ryan has quality goaltending. They have speed, and they're a fairly deep team. So it should be a pretty good first-round matchup.
So again, 3 Malvern, 6 Archbishop Ryan, March 8th at the ice line at 7 o'clock. We'll move to our 2 and 7 matchup, and that face-off will be at the Stadium. Again, all these games on March 8th. At the Stadium at 8 o'clock, 2 versus 7. 2 is going to be St. Joe's Prep, and 7 will be Father Judge. So another Prep and Judge matchup here for you, Rick.
Father Judge, for number 7 seed, their top scorer is Mark Marin, 15 goals, 11 assists, 26 points in 12 Catholic League games. Father Judge is a young team, just 3 seniors on the roster, but they're a quick team. They have a lot of skill. The concern that they have is at the blue line and in goal. If they get quality goaltending, they'll be right in this game, but that is a concern. St. Joseph's Prep is a team that I've seen this year. They're very impressive. 15-3 in inter-county games, and they actually have played a number of games beyond that. They play a very solid out-of-league schedule. Ryan Connor, 9 goals, 31 assists, 40 points. Marcolita, 18 goals, 18 assists for 36. Dan McGill is a quality goaltender. What this team is, Joe, is fast. They're quick. They do the little things well. They forecheck and they back check, and we're going to get into some of that when we talk about the AA later and talk about what separates the elite teams. St. Joseph's Prep is capable of winning this tournament, and they're going to be a tough matchup for Father Judge in the opening round.
So again, St. Joe's Prep and Father Judge, 8 o'clock at Stadium on March 8th.
And we have a guest, Frankie, it's all yours.
Hello. Okay, I have Tyler with me from St. Joe's Prep. Tyler, you're here with your friends and your family and your teammates. How exciting is this for you?
Very exciting. First time we've got to come out to this, so it's a really cool experience.
And Coach, is this tournament something that you guys have been working towards all season?
Absolutely forward to this each and every year, and there's some great competition, and we just look forward to playing our best hockey.
Okay, thank you. They're from St. Joe's Prep. Guys, back to you. Thank you.
We've got one team left, Joe.
That's right, the top seed, and we'll have a first round bye is Holy Ghost, and they will be awaiting the winners from the preliminary rounds. Talk about Holy Ghost and the strength of them coming into this tournament.
Holy Ghost will come in here first of all with an overall record of 25-6. They are the defending champions, and they've won 2 out of the last 3. They have a bona fide top scorer. We'll get to their scoring stats in a minute, but their chief asset is their goaltender, Tristan Devine. Very, very solid in goal, has a save percentage of over 900, 905 to be precise, and he is fundamentally sound. You watch him play, you don't look at him as a spectacular goaltender. He's not the kind of goaltender who is going to make this dramatic save that looks good on a highlight video, because he is so fundamentally sound and plays the angles well. He makes the stops that he's supposed to make, and he makes some that he should not. But he's a very, very fundamentally sound goaltender, which is really the key to their success this year. Their leading scorer, Luke Aquaro, senior, 27 goals, 27 assists, 54 points, and just an explosive offensive player. He is not a one-man team, if you will. They've got a very, very deep team around him. They've got Shane Stevens, 11 goals, 3 assists for 14 points as a quality scorer. Brian Hartley, 18 goals, 13 assists for 31. Max Massari, 16 goals, 9 assists for 25. But this is a young team in spots, and while they certainly were expected to contend for the Flyers Cup this year, you've had some young players step up and maybe have exceeded expectations. So we'll hear more about that from Gump Whiteside, and we'll let him talk about his own team. Frankie?
So before we head to that, Frankie, we're going to take a quick break, and Holy Ghost will be awaiting the winner of LaSalle and O'Hara, and that game will be at Grundy at 7 p.m. on March 12th. So we're going to take a quick break, and we'll have more of the Thanks again, everybody, and welcome back to the 39th Annual Flyers Cup Selection Show. We appreciate you joining us here. We're coming to you live at the Brick House. We're going to have an interview, but in just one moment. For now, we're going to recap the AAA bracket as LaSalle will take on O'Hara, and that game, and those are the 4 and 5 seeds, by the way. That'll be at Hatfield on March 8th with 7:10 puck drop. 3 vs. 6 matchup features Malvern Prep and Archbishop Ryan at the Ice Line, 7 p.m. Again, all these dates are March 8th. The 2-7 seed features St. Joe's Prep and Father Judge and that game will be held at Stadium at 8 p.m. And the #1 overall ranked seed is Holy Ghost, and they will play on March 12th at Grundy at 7 p.m., and they will await the winner of LaSalle and Cardinal O'Hara. So we're going to send it over again to Frankie Stokes. Frankie, as Coach Whiteside of Holy Ghost Prep.
Coach Whiteside, you guys are heading into the tournament as the #1 seed. Will this apply any additional pressure?
No, I don't think so, Frankie. I mean, I think our kids have worked really hard all year, and they knew what was at stake, and I think getting the #1 seed was a credit to how hard they worked.
Okay, and they're still awaiting who you will be playing, but will you be preparing as if you were playing against anybody?
Absolutely. I mean, we're going to be facing the winner of two great teams, and we're just fortunate to be in the position we're in where we get the first bye so we can prepare.
Okay, Coach, thank you. Good luck. Thank you. Joe, back to you.
All right, so we're going to shift gears, and now we're going to go to the single A bracket, and I have Steve Muscanti here with me. And Steve, again, thank you for joining us on our show.
My pleasure.
Just give us a little bit of an overall preview of the single A bracket.
This year in the A, there's a lot of parity. Teams are beating teams. Nobody's really running away with everything. Even teams within their own league or division that have had strong seasons, when they get outside into crossovers and things like that, they're coming up against some stiffer competition and not having maybe as much success. So there's a lot of parity across the bracket, I think.
All right, so we're going to get right to the standings, and all of these times coming up are March 5th. So we'll start off with the 9 versus 8 seed. Excuse me, the 8th seed will be Lower Merion taking on Palmyra at the Stadium at 8 p.m.
This is an interesting matchup. I mean, Lower Merion's been a team all year that's been very solid, has a lot of good quality wins, and they're going to be facing off against Palmyra, who also had a very good season, battling against Hershey and Lower Dauphin, teams who pretty much dominated in the Central Penn. I know that some of the Lower Merion guys are here, and they've really had a good, strong season, and I guess personally, being another Central League school, I'd probably be pulling for them against Palmyra.
All right, Steve's already shifting and putting in his picks. We'll go to the 10-7 matchup upcoming, and that'll be at Hatfield, 8 p.m. puck drop, and that is Wissahickon versus Unionville.
When I look at Wissahickon, I see a lot of scoring. You know, their leading scorer has 43 goals in 14 games. That's pretty darn impressive. So I would expect that to be a challenge for Unionville defensively. Unionville is a team coming out of the Chessmont, which is always very, very competitive. You know, the teams over there on any given night may or may not have a full roster due to club travel commitments and things like that. But this is going to be a real interesting matchup. Unionville does have a pretty solid defensive core, so it may come down to, you know, which is the better, the offense or the defense.
Next will be our 11 versus 6 matchup. And again, all these times, March 5th, all the dates, excuse me. Puck drop for that game will be 8:45 at the Iceworks, and that'll be Strathaven taking on Lower Moreland.
Lower Moreland, again, a team very top-heavy offensively. 44 goals in 15 games for their leading scorer, Coleman Peppelman. You know, Strathaven's a team very familiar to us, our crosstown rival. They've got some offensive talent, too, in Ryan Spanier and Mike Irie. This one might be an offensive battle. This could wind up 7-6, 9-8. You know, who knows?
So it could see a lot of scoring, and that certainly gets the crowd into it once you see the light behind the cage and lighten the lamp quite a bit.
No doubt about it.
That certainly can get the crowd and things. It's one of those kind of games where momentum doesn't know any loyalty.
Right.
Next, we have our 12 versus 5 matchup at the ice line, 6:45 p.m. puck drop, and that is Hershey and Upper Dublin.
Hershey's a team that's traditionally has a pretty good seed in the Flyers Cup. Very solid program. top to bottom, well trained, well coached, always competitive, and always puts in a good appearance in the Flyers Cup. Upper Dublin's a team that they're in sometimes, they're out sometimes. They're having a really nice season this year. Again, leading scorer, 41 goals. Art Nordlinger, 41 goals in 16 games. This is going to be another one of those offense versus defense battles, I think. Hershey's strong defensively and is used to playing against big offensive teams, especially Lower Dauphin. And Upper Dublin brings that offense to the table. I know the Upper Dublin guys are here today as well.
So speaking of that, Upper Dublin taking on Hershey, and we'll send it over to Frankie Stokes, who has a couple of members from the team. Take it away, Frankie.
Thank you, guys. I'm here with Quinn and Seth. Quinn, what's one of the things that you're looking forward to the most during this tournament?
It's exciting being in the Flyers Cup because it's our first time, so that's definitely something to look forward to.
And Seth, as a freshman, what does this experience mean to you, having it so early in your career?
I'm excited to play, and I'm looking forward to keep going to it every year.
Thank you, guys. Good luck. Joe, back to you.
Thanks, guys, and appreciate Upper Dublin for taking the time out to speak with us. We'll continue on with the bracket, and we'll slide to the 13 versus 4 matchup, and that will be Lower Dauphin and Pencrest at the ice line at 8:30.
Lower Dolphin's a team that is really, really having a strong season this year. They've essentially run the table in the Central Penn. They're in the Bears Cup final against Hershey. Two primary big guns for them are Tom Bramley and Owen Coonley. A lot of points and things like that. We're a team that we've been kind of up and down all season. We've had good moments. We've had some not as good moments. We've been playing very well over the last couple of weeks, which is encouraging. So we're going to see how it goes. Traditionally, the Intercounty Central Penn matchups have always been good, hotly contested games. So this should be no exception.
Next up is the 14 versus 3 matchup, and that'll be at Aston at the Iceworks. 7 p.m. puck drop featuring Springfield and Henderson.
This might be the most interesting first round game in the A. Henderson's a team again. They're in the Chessmont, and that's a kind of an every night things are a battle. Springfield has had a tremendous season. Just actually had their first Central League loss the other night, and they're a solid team. The one thing about Springfield is they can always roll 3-4 lines. They're always solid defensively, always very well coached. Henderson, same kind of thing. Ladd Clark does a really good job over there with them. This is going to be a very interesting matchup because I don't think Henderson's record really tells the story of how good they are, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how this game goes.
Up next, we'll feature the 15 and 2 seed matchup, and that's at the ice line. Again, all these games we've been talking about will be March 5th, and this latest one, the 15 and 2 seed, will be at the ice line, 8:45 puck drop, featuring Westchester East and Kennett.
Kennett's a team that's on the rise. They years ago had a very strong program, and then things dropped off a little bit. The last few years, they've been back and have done a nice job. They're well coached. They play hard. They bring a good effort each and every night. Westchester East is kind of one of our traditional A powers. They're fairly deep. They've got Dylan McLaughlin and Nick Castora and Jack Hamilton, leading their way offensively, and they play the game well. They're pretty deep, and it's a 2 versus 15. So you naturally your first thought is, well, East is going to win handily, but Kennett has battled teams all year long.
So we'll see if the underdog Kennett can take care of the veteran leadership of Westchester East. Before we get to the top seeded matchup, we'll throw it over to Frankie Stokes once again with a member from Lower Merion.
Yes, hi Sam, how are you? So as a senior, what does this moment mean for you?
It's just everything that we've really worked towards all 4 years, and getting the 8 seed is really awesome this year with the way some games have gone. We dropped a few, but overall really happy with the season.
And is this your first appearance in the tournament?
This is our 3rd appearance, I believe, at least with me. Yeah.
Okay, so you have some experience then?
Yeah, I have a few years under my belt.
Okay, thank you, Sam. Good luck. Back to you, Joe.
Thanks, Frankie. So again, our top seeded matchup, it's going to feature at the ice line at 7 o'clock, Ruston versus Radnor, and certainly all the pressure's on Ruston here. This is almost normal for them.
Probably the worst kept secret maybe in the A bracket is that Ruston's the #1 seed. I don't know what else you can say. They're the 4-time defending Flyers Cup and state champions. I think everybody thought this year was maybe going to be a year that was down for them. And they bounced around a little bit early in the season, but they're peaking at the right time, as they tend to do. Radnor is a team that, their record doesn't necessarily indicate where they are. If you look at the scores of their games, they have some losses, but they're not getting blown out. They battle hard, and there's some familiarity because they both play out of ice line. So, it's not going to be a mystery for the Radnor guys who they're going up against, and certainly they've seen Ruston play more than a couple of times, and I'm certain have a game plan in place to kind of try to take care of things.
Like you mentioned, Radnor certainly wants to slow down Ruston as they're looking to continue their recent success over the past years, like you just said. So it should be very interesting to see how far Ruston can go, or Radnor potentially have an upset.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. I mean, the A bracket is always fun because there's always a couple upsets and always some battles going on. I mean, last year the final went to 4 overtimes. It's the A bracket's always tough. It may be the bracket that has the most parity of all the brackets. So it's going to be fun. It's always a fun time of year.
All right, Steve, thank you again so much for joining us and giving us all your expertise on the bracket that you are most familiar with, which is the single A bracket. So we appreciate your time and your knowledge, and thank you for coming on the show.
My pleasure.
So Rick Wolfel is going to join me in just one moment, but we are going to go through the single A bracket one more time in case you missed anything. And we will reveal, here we go, Ruston versus Radnor. And again, all these upcoming times and puck drops will be March 5th, 2018. Ruston versus Radnor, that's 1:16, and that's 7 o'clock at the ice line. The 8-9 seeding, Lower Merion versus Palmyra, and that is at the Stadium at 8 p.m. 4:13 matchup features Springfield and Henderson at the Iceworks in Aston at 7 p.m. Hershey versus Dublin, 5 versus 12 matchup at the ice line, 6:45. 3:14 face-off includes Lower Dolphin and Pencrest, and that'll be at the ice line at 8:30 p.m. Strathaven and Lower Moreland, and that features the 6:11 matchup, which is at the Iceworks in Aston, Pennsylvania, 8:45 puck drop. The 7-10 seeds feature Wissahickon and Unionville, and that puck drop will be at 8 p.m. And lastly, Westchester East and Kennett, the 2:16 matchup at the ice line at 8:45. Again, all of those times are on March 5th. So, Rick, thanks again for coming back, and round 2 with us, and we are going to go over the AA bracket.
This should be fascinating. You've got the two teams that have separated themselves in recent years in Central Bucks South and Downingtown East, who have been the dominant teams in Class AA over the past 4 seasons. They have won the last 4 Flyers Cup, 2 each. Council Rock South, by the way, won 3 out of 4 from 2009 through 2012, but Downingtown East was the winner in 2010. So you've got those 3 schools that have dominated AA for the past decade, and Downingtown East and Central Bucks South are the two favorites going into this.
So we'll kick things off, and we'll get to the 9 versus 8 matchup. All these games on March 6th. And the 9 versus 8 matchup will feature Avon Grove and North Penn at the ice line at 7 p.m.
Avon Grove comes in as the number 8 seed, 9-5-1 overall. They have a situation where they went through a coaching change, and they had to make some adjustments this year, but they've done it very successfully. They've got Ryan Nickel with 22 goals, 18 assists for 40 points. Brady Anderson's a veteran defenseman. J.D. Ambrosio, a sophomore, in goal. They've also beaten Downingtown East, which is a feather in their cap, and took Ruston into overtime. And Ruston is a team that would likely compete with any AA team in this tournament, even though they are in single A. So they're going to be a rugged test for North Penn, which comes in with a very good offensive team. Andrew Galetta, 19 points and 14 assists. George Boyle, a very solid defenseman. They have some senior leadership. A lot of offensive firepower on this team. The question will be what kind of play they get defensively and in goal. But North Penn certainly has the scoring punch to make a run in this tournament.
So speaking of Avon Grove certainly making their mark this year and coming into the Flyers Cup tournament, Frankie Stokes has a member of the team.
Hey, I have Matt Miller here, the senior captain of Avon Grove. Matt, what does this experience mean to you and your high school career?
It means a lot to me. This is the highest seed that we've been in the Flyers Cup. I know that we haven't really come up the way that we wanted to the past couple of years, and I think our team's really proved ourselves this year, and I think we have a really good shot.
And what are you looking forward to the most during this tournament?
Definitely extend the season with a lot of some really good friends that I've made over the years, and I really think we can go all the way this year.
Okay, thank you, Matt. Good luck. Joe, back to you.
Thanks, Frankie, and thanks to Avon Grove for taking the time out and talking to us. Second game we're going to get to is the 10 versus 7 matchup, and that will feature the 7 seed Downingtown West and Council Rock North, and that game will be at 8:45 at the ice line.
Matchup between the Chestmont League and the Suburban League. Downingtown West as the number 7 seed, 8-7-1 with one overtime loss overall. Again, that's within intercounty league games only. 5-5-1 in the Chestmont. J.M. Owens is their leading scorer, 15 goals, 8 assists for 23 points. They've got 2 quality goaltenders, Eric West and Justin Kiefel are in goal. Council Rock, a program that has been on the way back this season. They struggled for a couple of years, actually dropped out of AA into single A, came back last year in AA and took their lumps a little bit. This year in single A, or in AA, they have stepped up and have really improved as the season has gone along. They're 8-5-1 overall. Zach Herman is their leading scorer, 22 goals, 21 assists for 43 points. Caven Tully is their top defenseman. They are a team that can score a lot of goals. This will be a challenge for them, but it's a big step for their program to get back to the AA Flyers Cup. So they've accomplished a lot already, regardless of what happens from here.
So we just spoke to a member of Avon Grove, and now Frankie Stokes has an athlete from North Penn. Take it away.
Yes, we're going to speak to Avon Grove's competitor, the 9 seed North Penn, senior captain Andrew. Andrew, you're here with your friends and your teammates. How exciting is this for you?
Oh, I'm so excited. I can't wait to play. It doesn't really matter to me who we play as long as I get to go out there with my teammates and have a good time. That's all that matters to me.
Okay, and is this your first appearance in the tournament?
No, I've gone freshman year. We made it to a championship against Downingtown that year, and that was the best experience I've had in my high school career. Hopefully we can do that again this year.
Okay, thank you very much. Good luck. Guys, back to you.
Thanks, Frankie. Sliding up now is the 11 versus 6 matchup, and we preview that, and that will feature Parkland taking on Central Bucks West. That game will be at Hatfield at 8:50 p.m. Again, all these times are March 6th. So what do you think of this matchup, Rick?
This is going to be a tough matchup for Central Bucks West, quite frankly, only because Parkland's a team that nobody wants to play. Parkland has dominated the Lehigh Valley League. This year they are 16-0. They've gone over 100 games in the Lehigh Valley League without a loss. Timmy Doe, 33 goals, 16 assists for 49 points, their leading scorer. But this is an outstanding defensive team. Their goal differential this year, 121 goals scored against only 14 allowed in those 16 games. They play a trapping style, which, as you know, is very difficult to work against. They perennially give teams a lot of trouble in this tournament. They're a tough out. They actually went to the state championship game back in 2009. A tough assignment for Central Bucks West, which was a semifinalist in this tournament last year. They've got a lot of balance. Joey Rakovich, 12 goals, 6 assists for 18 points. Again, this team coming in with a 9-6 record. Central Bucks West has 6 players that have scored 15 points or more. So they have a lot of balance. They don't have that one outstanding scorer, but they distribute the scoring across a couple of lines. Luke McCleary, a senior, is a top defenseman. A mix of youth and experience on this team, and they're a good, solid hockey team, but Parkland's a very, very tough opponent. This should be one of the better first-round matchups, to tell you the truth.
So again, that matchup will be 8:50 at Hatfield on March 6th, and Frankie Stokes will be hanging out with a couple of members of CB West.
Yes, I have Chris and Luke here with me from CB West. Luke, as a captain, a senior captain, how do you hope to encourage and inspire some of the younger players that are in the tournament for the first time?
Say how?
Yes.
Well, basically, we have, as West, we focus everything from the defense, and I just try to keep my team motivated. And we always play our hearts out and go out to win, and that's pretty much it. Yeah.
And Chris, what are you looking forward to the most in this tournament?
I'm just looking forward to playing hard and having more fun. And I have a couple more years left, so I'm looking forward to just giving my best and playing for my school and stuff like that.
Okay, thank you guys. Good luck. Joe, back to you.
So we're going to go back to Frankie, as we just spoke with CB West, and now Parkland's going to step up to the plate and give us their thoughts on the matchup upcoming.
You can come over here. Okay, introduce yourself, everyone.
Hi, I'm Mike Schmidt.
Mike Schmidt, and what year are you?
I'm a sophomore at Parkland.
Okay, what position do you play?
I play defense.
Defense, okay. So what does this moment mean for you? You're here with your teammates and your families and your friends.
I think this is just a great opportunity for our school to prove ourselves in competition outside of our league. So I think it's going to be a good opportunity for us.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, guys. Next up, again, March 6th, and the 2-15 seed matchup at the Ice Line at 8:30 p.m. will feature Downingtown East and Perkiomen Valley. What do you have for that matchup, Rick?
Well, Downingtown East comes in as a team that, again, is one of the favorites, 14-4 within the Intercounty League structure. And again, they have a lot of balance. Michael Boger, 12 goals, 14 assists, 26 points. Alex Fox, 11 goals and 15 assists, also 26. Justin Cohn, 10 goals, 13 assists for 23. What this team does is do the little things well. They forecheck, they backcheck, they have a lot of speed, and their quote-unquote stars do the workmanlike things that don't get noticed, that don't show up on a score sheet, but they help you win games and win championships at any level of hockey. They're a wonderful team to watch play, and they have a lot of talent. Perkiomen Valley, out of the Pioneer Conference, 6-10 overall. Their top scorer is Hunter Ringwood, 12 goals, 15 assists for 27 points. Downingtown East, though, is a team that certainly, if you would be one of the 2 teams you would pick as a favorite, there is a group of perhaps 5 teams that have a legitimate chance to win this tournament. They're certainly at or near the top of that list.
All right, so we'll see, as you mentioned, Downingtown East, one of the potential favorites to come out of their bracket. And we'll go to the 3-14 matchup at Ice Line, 6:45 p.m. That'll be Conestoga versus Springford.
Yeah, this will be a good matchup, too. Conestoga kind of gets overlooked in the Inter-County League because of the presence of Downingtown East. They come in with a 14-4 overall mark. Frank Konospasek is their leading scorer, 28 goals, 22 assists for 50 points. They were considered a threat last year but ran into some injury problems. This year, they've gotten through that. They have a fair amount of experience, and they are certainly a threat. Springfield, the number 14 seed, 7-7 with 2 ties in the Pioneer Conference. Joey Tennyson, their leading scorer, 12 goals, 8 assists for 20 points. But Conestoga, again, one of the teams that is going to be among the favorites.
Next up, Hatfield, 7:10 p.m. We're going to have Penridge and Central Buck East.
Two teams very familiar with each other. Penridge, the number 4 seed, they come in 13-2-1. They've got an explosive offensive team. Eric Slater, 35 goals, 22 assists for 57 points, and that's in just 16 games. Michael Walker, 18 goals, 20 assists for 38 points. Patrick McGinley, 21 goals, 14 assists for 35. They've also got a very good goaltender, Luke Strenick, with a 2.64 goals against, save percentage is over 900. They'll be playing a team that they're very familiar with. Central Bucks East struggled early in the year. They have played well over the last month or so. Their record is 6-9-1 and went 2-1-1 over their last 4 games. That's probably what got them into this tournament. Remember, we've just got 16 teams this year rather than 20, which I think will make for a much more competitive event. Ken Latcham returns as the coach. He coached this team for a very long time, stepped away for a couple of seasons. He's back now. Colin Quinn, 21 goals and 6 assists for 27 points. So Central Bucks East will be the underdog here, but Penridge is going to have to pay attention. And we should mention Penridge with a coaching change in midseason. Tom Coyne, who has been around this sport for goodness knows how long. I don't want to go down that road while we're on the air, but has coached 3 different high school teams in the Flyers Cup, led Central Bucks South to a couple of state championships, took over Penridge at midseason. Good to see him back involved in high school hockey.
So certainly he can be a little bit of a dark horse here with Penridge having the experience on the coaching end of things. Before we get to our last matchup, send it over to Frankie Stokes, who has a member from Council Rock North.
Okay, hi, I have CJ with me, the senior right wing captain. CJ, is this something that you've been looking forward to all season?
All season, you know, it's my final year. I've been really looking forward to this.
Right, and have you made an appearance in the tournament before?
Yeah, my freshman year, my sophomore year, we made it, but we played a AA team in the Flyers Cup when we were A. We didn't turn out too well in that one, and last year we just didn't have the goaltending for it.
So you're hoping for a different outcome this year?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, CJ. Good luck. Joe, back to you.
Okay, so we'll get to our final matchup of the AA bracket, and it'll be the 1-16 matchup, and that'll be Central Bucks South versus Boyertown at Warwick at 7:15.
Okay, we actually have one more besides that one. You want to go with the number 1 seed first? Okay, Boyertown comes in with a 6-10 mark. Leading scorer is Jake Harmon, 7 goals, 12 assists for 19 points. Council Rock South and Haverford still to go. So we will get to that one. As far as the number 1 seed, Central Bucks South, 4-time defending champion in the Suburban League, Flyers Cup champions in 2014 and 16, and they won state championships both years. Much like Downingtown East, they're a deep team. They have a lot of scoring balance. Matt Stoll, the leading scorer this year, 27 goals, 19 assists for 46 points. Joe DeLaurentis, 25 and 20 for 45. But again, this team does the little things well. Scoring statistics are nice. I guess I've been hanging around coaches too much, right? But they do the little things well. They forecheck, they backcheck, they work hard at both ends of the ice. They're a deep team, and that is what makes them so dangerous. If I had to make a prediction right now, I would put Central Bucks South and Downingtown East in the final. But the last game we're going to talk about involves a team that can cause an awful lot of trouble. And that's our 5-12 game, Council Rock South and Haverford.
Before we go to that, we'll send it over to Frankie Stokes, who has a couple members of CB South.
Okay, I have two senior players here, so I have Frank and Matt. What are you guys expecting to see out of this tournament?
A lot of good competition. We hope that we really make it far and try to come out with a win.
And for you?
Yeah, we're just expecting good hockey. It's always a lot of fun playing in the Flyers Cup, and yeah, hopefully we can win and go far.
And Coach McGinty, you're entering as the #1 seed. Do you think this applies additional pressure to the players?
Nah, it's all about showing up. I mean, the numbers, it is what it is, and the boys just got to come do their job, play discipline, sacrifice, play for the team, led by our leaders, and do what we do best. Let's just go to work.
Okay, thank you guys. Good luck. Joe, back to you.
Sorry about that. So I skipped over one. My apology here. And we'll get to our final matchup. It'll be CB North, the 5 seed, versus Haverford, the 12 seed.
Actually, that's Council Rock South.
Council Rock.
Okay.
Sorry.
Don't make that mistake, or we'll never get out of here.
Council Rock North, and that game will be at Warwick at 9 p.m. again on March 6th. So Council Rock North and Haverford. Take it away, Rick.
All right. Haverford, the number 12 seed, with a 10-6-2 record in the Central League. Dave Catone, 16 goals, 23 assists for 39 points in the 18 games. Council Rock South comes in 11-6-1, a very dangerous team. The record a bit deceiving. They've had a lot of injury problems this year, but they're starting to get their players back who are hurt. Logan Hurwitz, 11 goals, 15 assists, 26 points. Matt Melly, 20 goals and 6 assists for 26. Mason Praz, the goaltender, has seen an awful lot of shots this year, but has a save percentage of over 900. The player that may be a key to their success, Dylan Fioli, 7 goals in 7 games. He was injured the first 2/3 of the season, but has come back with 9 points in the 7 games that he's played. And if he can play at something near 100%, they're going to make a very dangerous run. Council Rock South is on the same side of the bracket with Central Bucks South, and just as we mentioned, Parkland, the number 6 seed, on the other side of the bracket. Council Rock South's a team that you don't want to play, and we're not saying they're a favorite, but they're saying that they're going to be very, very dangerous.
And that is all of our matchups for the AA bracket. And we want to thank all of the Flyers Cup teams and everyone here joining us. The tournament starts on March 6th. And again, be sure to check us out. And we want to thank the Sports Fan Base Network. My apologies. And we want to thank all of our broadcasters, Rick, Frankie for all the interviews, and all my co-hosts and my guest for today. And be sure to check out the Sports Fan Base Network at sfbn.com. We thank you so much for joining us, and also we'd like to thank the Brick House for hosting the event, and we get ready for the 39th annual Flyers Cup tournament. I'm Joe Sindoni. We appreciate you joining us, and we'll see you at the Cup.